Let's do some biohacking, biohacking for fun, necessity, and just because we can, because we live in an advanced future and society. Let's make ourselves immune against hepatitis A and hepatitis B. And this biohacking is going to be done without pens. Biohacking without pens is the best kind of biohacking. Let's prep the injection. So there is a mixed powder and water with saline water with salt. Let's prep it up. The solution of the biohacking solution, the vaccine against the sickness of hepatitis A and hepatitis B, is mixed. Let's inject that one. The bubbles are out of the mix, out of the solution, the saline solution, plus inactivated viral bodies is already bubbles are removed and pressed out. And this is a biohacking without pens, because the injection is going to be into the leg. Just relax the muscle. The wonder of hypodermic or the modern small needles is a wonderful technology because it doesn't hurt that much. Only like the injection itself creates a little bit of pressure, and we have to inject it into the muscle. It cannot be injected into the blood itself, because the antibodies are going to be generated during the sleep, and the immune system is going to be trained during the sleep. So when we inject it into the bloodstream, it's gonna wash out without the desired effect. So it's an intermuscular injection. Just like that. There wasn't much of the solution. Yes, the biohacking without pens is the most fun biohacking. Can be done also in the shoulder muscle. Good enough, no blood. Perfect. And we have to select the muscles without the veins. At this side of the leg there are a lot of veins. At the other side there might be some connecting tissue, and the top muscle is the muscle. Here is the muscle though. I have a good experience with this top muscle of the leg. You just have to know where your veins are of the leg and then make a cross between the veins. So in this case the veins run around this perimeter, and in the center there was nothing. So hitting the vein during the vaccination or during the biohacking or during any injection like insulin or something is not a good thing to do. It makes everything messy and it hurts for a week if you hit the vein. So why even do this biohacking or vaccination? We could just run and get infected. In case of the hepatitis, we get hepatitis A, B and C from food, from kisses, from other people. So basically any infection that you can get from food is worse being vaccinated against. After the injection we can be very proud and happy that they exist on our planet. The biohacking vaccinations against sicknesses and infections. We can put a sticker, or we should rather put a sticker into our official UN official passport of biohacking. Let's do like this one. No? It covers the other one. Yes. Now we got more stickers, biohacking stickers in the official biohacking passport, which some countries require for travel, like the yellow fever, or the rabies, or the Japanese, or the European encephalitis, or some do require for Meningitis B. Is it a biohacking when we vaccinate ourselves? Yes, definitely. There's a biohacking to be more vaccinated than other people on our planet. And let's face it, the access to vaccines is still not that good. We can have meningococcal, varicella, pneumococcus, hepatitis B, A, HPV, rabies, tetanus, hepatitis, what else? The meningitis B, which is also correlated to meningitis B vaccine is correlated to skin cancer, and the HPV one is correlated to skin cancer because the warts on the skin cancer, or the warts of the HPV are more susceptible to UV lights, and then they can help the skin to develop skin cancer, which was found in New Zealand, in Australia. And the meningitis B1 is in some percentage of people helpful against infections of the herpes one. And there's herpes zoster vaccine, which can give more immunity against herpes and permanent varicella infection in general. So vaccines are fun, they are a very nice tool for biohacking. And before just messing up with the genes, we can use the existing biohacking tools to amplify our bodies on our planet. And not all people on our planet have a privilege to do so. It's a good privilege. Many countries don't have access to vaccines because they require ice and a nice distribution. They must be fresh and kept in ice. So it's not in every country that you can get every vaccine. Some people, they even travel to get the vaccine to other countries. So our world is still very, very much divided in terms of healthcare. Even in Europe, which you would say it's a very developed continent, no, there are countries that just don't distribute the vaccines because their national health system decided not to distribute or to pay for the vaccines. So the providers and the distributors of the vaccines, they just don't sell them in that country, or they don't put them into the distribution centers because people are not buying them privately. Because I don't know why, people just don't want to get vaccinated. They don't want to do biohacking, they see it as something as a mandatory and not as a privilege. Bill Gates, the rich people and the doctors and the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation, they speak about how we should bring the vaccines to the developing world, just help them against sickness and diseases. They talk about how bad or poor the distribution of vaccines is in the world, and in reality is, this week I tried to get the malaria or yellow fever vaccine in Europe. None of the pharmacies have it because they ran out of it a while ago. It's not the season for it, nobody's buying, so people just don't stock it up in the distribution of the pharmacy systems. I'll have to go to a special hospital for that and pay a little bit extra because they get this they get it in their fridges, so they have like old ones in their fridges. So even though you think that the developed world is very much developed, no, we still lack vaccines, and there is no uniformity across countries, and there is no like a national or universal understanding that we should have vaccines in our pharmacy systems or distribution system that the people can just order them and then vaccinate or revaccinate or get the booster vaccinations. In this case, it was my booster number 4 for hepatitis A and B. And last year I did the same, and it turns out it's the same batch. It was in the fridge for 1 year in the distribution center, so they didn't stock up anything new for 1 year, because the vaccines get to distributed for the children, and the adult revaccination is often overlooked. So the distribution of vaccines is not uniform and not nearly perfect as it should be. If we biohack our immunity in order to get the memory immunity of the antibodies, so the body has to now produce antibodies. And it only produces the antibodies during the sleep. So the very good sleep is essential for this type of vaccination or biohacking. If we don't sleep at night well, the body doesn't produce the antibodies. So it's all wasted. There's a 40% chance that there is no antibody productions. So good sleep is very, very much essential, or a lot of sleep. So any biohacking or vaccination does require extensive sleep. So it has to be prepared on that day so that we have enough time to get to bed and to get enough sleep in the mornings also. It's weekend, so there's enough time. One fun thing about the vaccines is that they can help us against other viruses and against other infections that are in the same family of infections as same as the vaccines. The vaccines and the biohacking injections, they contain these muted or neutralized or sterile or infertile virus that doesn't reproduce for a few hours or days when it's kept cold. So it's as the protein of the virus, but none of the reproductive function of the virus. And the body can grow the immune response and the immunity proteins or the memory for the future infections or the possible future infections. That's how they work, basically. The vaccines have a very, very good effect that you pay for them once and never again. All the benefits are stored as memory, as the immunity memory in the body. Can you imagine any health insurance that you want to pay once? A few sum, this is or 50 euros. You pay 50 euros 3 times and then never again, and then you are safe 100% or 99% safe against an infection. Is there any type of contract or insurance like that on our planet? It would be like witchcraft or magic or like contract with Satan. But in this case it's real, it's the magic of vaccination. Once you get 3 doses or 3 very well made and well done doses of vaccines in the right muscle with good sleep, the body can produce the antibodies and the memory for the vaccination. The boosters have to be done, the booster injections have to be done separately from the first injection, at least 30 days or 40 days, because the immune cells, they have this natural cycle of 30 or 40 days, between 30 and 40, so they have to be new cells in order to reactivate the old memory. So we have to retrain the old memory with the booster injections. So there should be 3 or 4, in some cases only 2 injections of the biohacking vaccines, which help us to get more healthier, more resistant bodies on our planet. There are some evil people on the internet who claim that the vaccines cause autism and that they do all kind of damage, allergic reactions, they get high fever, inflammation. Yes, the side effects of the vaccines or any biohacking is the initial fever of the body that reacts to the protein from the injection, from the viruses or bacteria, which are neutralized and not able to reproduce. The body has to react to this injection if it wants to learn about the infection and become immune to it later on. The anti-vaccine people claim that we should get exposed to viruses and bacteria to generate the immune response and to help our immune system to get trained against them. That's exactly the point to get the vaccines. We can train our body without the infection. We just can train them on the false, on the infertile proteins and infertile bacteria that are neutralized in a special process that the pharmaceutical companies do in their factory, and then have to keep it all cold and under high standard. It's expensive to produce, and we can be glad that it exists. It's a very fairly recent discovery, less than 100 years old. So also one very huge fact about the people who say that the vaccines are something bad, that they produce some bad results or permanent damage, those people are hired by a foreign government to create diffusion, drama, and to create groups and organizations that are against the government of other countries, or to create political drama or social drama, and then slowly introduce political candidates from the parties that are favorable to them into this social group of the upset or enraged people. This practice is called astroturfing. They create a group, connect people in the anti-vaccination group, and then later on they bring some political ideas into that group. So what they're trying to do, they are trying to create a group of people who are worried about the injections into their children with the vaccines. So or people who are afraid of the medicine or of the injection needle from the syringe. So they try to collect all of those people into the groups, and then they try to farm them like sheep and introduce political ideas and introduce political candidates that they themselves like. Basically, there are 300 groups online against vaccines, and all of those groups are either started or actively moderated by a very large country which has these practices to create false internet communities and to manipulate them politically. If we do some biohacking and vaccination, it is very natural that one has fever. One has to prepare for the fever and just take 1 or 2 days off, sleep well, just help the body to memorize the effects or the effects of the infection of the proteins of this pathogen that we are trying to learn about, that our body is trying to create the immunity or immune memory against this pathogen. Could be a virus, could be a bacteria, whatever you are vaccinating against or biohacking against. So yes, there is some fever, and some people I read a report. There is one guy against yellow fever. He got a yellow fever vaccine and he got hospitalized with severe fever. He was 64 or 65, around that age. And he got extreme fever, vomiting, diarrhea and everything. And they tried to understand this case. Was it caused by the vaccine? He didn't do anything else. And then they said it was the vaccine. And then they took his blood every day. They measured his temperature. And in the blood itself, they were looking for the antibodies for the yellow fever. He got no antibodies. So which means he wasn't even affected by the vaccine itself, and his body didn't produce the antibodies to the yellow fever. Which means the vaccine is failed in him, and he basically got a very severe fever in addition to the vaccine. So he got it on top of the vaccine, and it wasn't caused by the vaccine itself. So he was hyperallergic, or maybe his age was relatively, or maybe he had a yellow fever before and his body started to react to yellow fever in no, it's also impossible because he didn't have the antibodies to the yellow fever in his blood. So he became sick to something else before or during the time he got the vaccine, which means, and then later on he blamed it on the vaccine, but his blood didn't prove any like this, any numbers or any antibody that was related to the vaccine. He blamed the vaccine, but it was just a fever from something else, and this was one of the documented cases. There were like 4 or 5 cases worldwide, and that one was some guy who had fever. And if you are going to biohack or vaccinate millions of people, yes, there's going to be someone who has some kind of fever or sickness exactly during the time or during the week or during the day of the vaccination or biohacking. It's only mathematically correct that this must happen. Like the probabilities, he won a lottery, had diarrhea and fever on the same week that he got vaccinated. Congratulations. And what we learned from this is that his vaccine didn't work because his body was occupied with something else. This means that we have to be not sick and we have to sleep well if we want the vaccines or biohacking tools to work out. Let's say we are going to do some genetic manipulation with some vaccine that changes our genome. It only can happen when we grow new cells, and we only grow new cells during sleep. So we have to sleep well and don't be sick. So it's an expensive treatment. We better take enough time to get our body to adjust to or to produce the result that we want, and the only way to do it is to sleep well, or at least sleep the duration of time that is necessary. I don't know, 9, 12, 10 hours. Just take our time for that. The bioengineering, biohacking, genetic manipulation is all new subjects in our planet. They're going to be more and more popular, more and more cheap, more and more interesting. We are all going to be involved into this topic. Share your comments, make a positive comment, do a positive contribution with your own experience that you made in life. Do you know somebody who got sick from some infections but you didn't get because you were vaccinated? Would you be happy if you were resistant to rabies, tetanus, pneumonia, meningitis, HPV, bad breath, yellow fever, malaria, herpes, Zoster, Varicella, tetanus, diphtheria, maybe even AIDS, lung cancer? Would you be happy to be immune or resistant against such infections and illnesses? Would you consider it biohacking if you were immune or to become immune against them with the help of the vaccines or biohacking injections? If you like that, please make a positive contribution in the comments, give the video a like, and think about it or talk to other people who are interested into this topic. Thank you very much.